LeBron's dynamic with his eldest boy has completely shattered the internet lately? We are talking about clips grabbing millions of eyeballs leading up to a incredibly bizarre behind-the-scenes moment that left the entire hoops community speechless. Are we looking at extreme dad energy or something way weirder? Before we unpack this wild rumor, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let us dive into the massive elephant in the room. Throughout late 2024 and into 2025, social platforms were flooded with titles claiming highly unorthodox physical affection between the king and his heir. These visuals showed what looked exactly like a deeply personal post-match encounter involving the superstar and his rookie kid in the locker room. Naturally, the comment sections completely lost their minds. Fans were entirely stunned, others just scratched their heads. While everyone basically demanded to know, did this actually happen? Uncovering the truth is crucial here, since the way these clips were packaged was highly manipulative. The voiceovers practically brainwashed viewers into thinking they had stumbled upon some top-secret, forbidden locker room tape. The recommendation systems aggressively shoved this into the feeds of countless unsuspecting fans. From there, the insane interaction rates, rapid-fire shares, and furious pushback just skyrocketed the whole mess to the top of trending pages. However, once you actually peel back the layers of this viral madness, the truth is obvious. Tons of digital artists and forum posters flat out confessed to conjuring up the whole thing using synthetic media tools. These were absolutely not raw tape reels. Nobody leaked secret arena security feeds. They were entirely forged masterpieces, digitally crafted illusions built for the sole purpose of farming massive views by tapping into a wildly controversial subject. Look, this is not just some crazy conspiracy theory. It is the undeniable fact that emerges whenever a real investigator tries tracking these visual rumors down to an actual starting point. Zero respected basketball networks, forget the major sports channels, or premier entertainment blogs have ever backed up, recorded, or confirmed any authentic instance of this weird physical boundary crossing off the court. This entire narrative literally cannot survive outside the toxic bubble of computer-generated fake news. Still, by the moment the average fan scrolled past it, the lie had echoed so loudly that everybody accepted it as gospel. That right there is the terrifying power of digital forgery. You seriously do not need a trusted news anchor to confirm a wild rumor for it to seem legitimate. All it takes is a massive mob retweeting the exact same illusion and acting totally outraged. If you are enjoying this deep dive, drop a like. So, why were these two the ultimate prey for digital trickery? Well, a couple of major reasons stand out. Primarily, their family dynamic has always been the most intensely televised bond in professional hoops. The future Hall of Famer never hit his ultimate dream of sharing the hardwood with his boy since the kid was barely a preteen. Every single high five, chest bump, and courtside interaction has been broadcasted and picked apart by the media. This extremely public affection practically handed digital counterfeiters infinite training data, plus a fan base fully prepared to spark heated debates. Furthermore, the four-time champ was already battling a tsunami of synthetic visual hoaxes entirely unrelated to his family. The legend actually pursued serious courtroom justice against digital trolls who framed him in completely ridiculous or damaging situations, ranging from bizarre maternity mock-ups to totally fake interactions with Hollywood stars. The controversial locker room rumor simply hitched a ride on this ongoing wave of exploiting the superstar's face to pump out pure outrage bait. Thirdly, and seriously, nobody is discussing this enough. There was already an ongoing, legitimate debate suggesting the veteran icon was suffocating his kid's professional journey. This specific talking point thrived completely separate from any computer-generated nonsense. Haters have been arguing for decades that the patriarchal hovering over the young guard's athletic growth was way too intense. So, when those fabricated clips dropped, they did not invent a brand new controversy from thin air. Instead, they hijacked an existing discourse, adding an incredibly provocative visual element that standard sports columns completely lacked. Authentic clips of the duo paint a wildly contrasting picture. However, standard post-match embraces, hyped up handshakes before tip-off, the proud dad literally crying during historic achievements. The all-time leading scorer has forever been fiercely emotional and physical with his squad, supporters, and relatives, so the genuine interactions caught on tape with his offspring perfectly match his usual extroverted vibe. In fact, the league's verified digital channels regularly highlight and praise these exact instances as pure, heartwarming family connection. Literally zero legitimate sports broadcasters look at the unedited broadcast and instantly label it unsettling. That specific label strictly applies to the fake visual trash, the forged reality currently infesting endless recommendation feeds and spreading like wildfire across private messages and forum threads everywhere. That is the toxic signature of digital falsehoods, not actual journalism. But listen up, because the craziest aspect of internet rumors is that they never just fade away when debunked, they evolve. Entering early 2026, typing in those exact controversial keywords still pulled up synthetic garbage way before presenting any actual truth or factual breakdowns, proving exactly how these platforms prioritize sheer outrage over reality. The lie had essentially grown a mind of its own. It transformed into a massive urban legend, popping back up quarterly, completely ignoring logic, and buried deep within this myth was a toxic belief that the superstar's parenting style was fundamentally overbearing, manipulative, or flat out wrong. This specific underlying theory is exactly what we must break down today. Because if you strip away the digital trickery, there remains a highly valid debate surrounding the face of the league and his approach to raising an elite athlete. Serious analysts hold legitimate concerns and have voiced them publicly. We have actual verified moments where the Kings' aggressive defense against anyone threatening his boy's peace sparked massive headlines. The real mystery is not whether the veteran is fiercely protective and emotionally invested in his rookie's world, because he absolutely is. The true puzzle is figuring out the root of that fierce loyalty and how it translates to reality. To truly grasp this, we must rewind the clock way back to a young kid surviving the streets of Akron, Ohio, constantly battling internal demons he could never quite resolve. That struggling youth from the Midwest carrying a deep emotional scar that ultimately shaped the legendary dad we see today. You see, there is an entire chapter of this icon's life that the cameras completely missed. Way before the rings, prior to the massive wealth, and long before his royal moniker was carved into basketball lore, he was just a vulnerable child bouncing between couches, literally skipping almost 100 days of 4th grade, simply because he lacked basic transportation. The kid destined for greatness entered this world in the final month of... Welcome back, sports fans! Before we dive in, smash that subscribe button! Born December 30th, 1984, to 16-year-old Gloria Marie James, his dad vanished instantly, offering zero support or safety. That left a teenage Gloria stepping up to be the King's entire universe, shielding him, feeding him, and guiding him. During a time when average teens are navigating homeroom, the raw facts of his youth are absolutely mind-blowing once you look at the stats. This struggling household relocated a while, 12 times before he even finished 4th grade, constantly shifting through the grittiest, toughest blocks in Akron, sleeping on buddy sofas, getting booted by relentless landlords, facing rundown buildings, and fighting the brutal math of being completely broke. During that 4th grade stretch, the future icon skipped nearly 100 classes, not out of rebellion, but lacking a permanent home, reliable rides, or basic stability. The Lakers superstar has opened up about this traumatic era with brutal transparency, proving those deep emotional scars are still healing today. He admitted that his daily sunrise panic was losing his mom forever. He confessed his ultimate dread was opening his eyes to find her permanently missing. He claimed that survival was his exclusive childhood priority, praying every single dawn that his incredible mother was breathing, safe, and still right beside him. My dad was already out of the picture. That profound quote holds the massive gravity of his journey. Lacking a paternal figure meant losing his mom, whether in reality or just terrifying bad dreams, equaled total isolation. Picture an 8-year-old kid doing the mental gymnastics of sheer survival at the break of dawn. Beneath that trauma lingered a haunting mystery regarding his missing dad. He remembers constantly wondering, why did the guy bounce? I'm a genuinely awesome child. I behave well. Why am I not worth sticking around for? The tragic nature of a kid begging that painful question shifts the massive blame onto the innocent party. Youth incorrectly internalize the guilt, desperately trying to fix their own behavior just to discover the magic formula to make a parent stay. King James eventually shattered that mindset. Maturing, he flipped the script on that abandonment. Growing up and building my own crew made me realize his absence forged my greatness. Back in 2014, he dropped an absolute bomb on social media, dropping a viral post seen worldwide. He literally showed gratitude to the man who vanished, crediting him for his legendary drive. "Because of you, Pops, I appreciate it deeply. I could play the victim over you bailing, but check out my empire." That mental pivot is epic, yet that underlying trauma undeniably continued influencing his actions. He simply found a constructive way to channel the pain. Experts analyzing paternal abandonment in male youth label this intense feeling father starvation. It is a massive psychological gap that fame, fortune, or simply vowing to be a better man cannot instantly erase. This baggage often reveals itself through extreme self-reliance or an intense obsession to micromanage everything they hold incredibly dear. Furthermore, it frequently translates into overcompensating with their own kids, where a dad pours 100% of his soul into showing up, simply because showing up was the precise luxury he missed out on. James matches this psychological blueprint perfectly. If you're loving this deep dive, hit that like button. He and Savannah, high school sweethearts, hitched in 2013, share 3 kids, Bronny from 2004, Bryce from 2007, and Jury from 2014. James demands physical attendance at their functions release outfail, academic ceremonies, sporting matches, and crucial memories that typical Tier 1 basketball phenomenons skip due to grueling road trips. He boldly declares parenthood as his ultimate life mission. It is not just a subplot in his epic biography, but the main event. Regarding his eldest son, this dedication hit another stratosphere, since the kid started chasing his superstar dad's exact footsteps on the hardwood from day one. Every single amateur tournament, viral prep, school dunk, and college scouting debate unfolded under a massive media microscope, and the legendary forward was courtside, hyping him up, filming, and boosting his profile. Haters labeled it overbearing. Loyalists defended it as a dedicated dad breaking generational curses of an invisible upbringing. Honestly, it is likely a complex mix of both, reflecting messy human nature. That poor Ohio kid, wildly doodling pro hoops emblems into binders for comfort, evolved into a guardian gripping his family with extreme intensity, driven not by ego, but by an anxious, protective affection. A terrifying paranoia that loosening his hold for a split second meant losing his most precious treasures, just like his past. Now, let's break down the explosive beef with Stephen A. Smith over favoritism, and where the king finally snapped. While internet rumors poured gasoline on this toxic drama, it was an absolutely wild, unscripted reality clash before thousands of screaming fans in March 2025 that delivered pure, unfiltered truth that digital gossip lacked. The Lakers legend marched straight up to the famous broadcaster during a Los Angeles and New York showdown, aggressively demanding he keep his kid's name out of his mouth. The choice of words utilized was allegedly intensely explicit. This lightning-fast exchange was totally undeniable. Broadcast lenses captured the heat. Amateur sleuths and internet lip readers instantly went crazy. Moments later, it dominated every single basketball headline globally. A 4-time MVP, someone who survived 20 years of ruthless press pressure, with absolute ice in his veins, breached the media sideline to check an analyst directly. The fiery pundit later broke down the shocking altercation on his popular platform. He claimed the athlete confronted him strictly in dad mode, completely removing sports from the equation. These titans, who historically kept a respectful yet sometimes friction-filled dynamic, parted ways with zero mutual respect. "We straight up despise each other," the host declared coldly and unapologetically. However, what sparked this epic rant in the first place? That vital detail gets completely buried under the hype of the viral scuffle. Make sure to subscribe for more updates. The anchor's critique involving this father-son duo dominated morning television throughout 2024 and early 2025. The fundamental argument wasn't a personal attack. It remained strictly business. The loud sports personality continuously stressed that the rookie secured a pro-roster spot devoid of actual elite on-court merit, which experts universally agreed pegged him as a fringe draft prospect, hindered significantly by that terrifying heart scare during his collegiate offseason workouts back in July 2023. Rather, he claimed the kid got drafted purely because his iconic dad leveraged his massive grip on the franchise to force the ultimate team-up. Is Bronny only playing pro hoops thanks to his superstar father? That explosive claim from Smith went absolutely viral. He basically begged King James, painting the situation as one grown man warning another about the sheer psychological toll this massive spotlight was taking on his kid. The core issue? Rushing the youngster onto the biggest stage meant throwing him to the wolves way too early. Critics claim the superstar wasn't shielding his boy, but leaving him vulnerable, where every brick and every second played over a seasoned veteran got brutally scrutinized and weaponized against a rookie who skipped the traditional grind. Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button. Anyway, the fiery pundit swore his anger was strictly aimed at the father's choices, leaving the son's effort and attitude entirely out of the crosshairs. He firmly stood his ground following their clash, making it crystal clear he never took a single cheap shot at the rookie, though he relentlessly bashed the maneuvers that shoved the kid into the fire. Major networks broadcasted the commentator calling the basketball icon's tactics fragile, an incredibly heavy insult to hurl at an absolute titan whose legendary legacy revolves around raw power, mental toughness, and a fiercely stubborn attitude when facing obstacles head-on. Los Angeles ultimately snatched the young prospect with the 55th overall pick during the 2024 draft. For years, the future Hall of Famer manifested his fantasy of sharing the court with his boy, backed by his powerhouse representation. Meanwhile, Los Angeles upper management furiously denied rumors claiming outside influence forced their drafting decision. However, the four-time champion literally handed haters the ultimate ammunition by repeatedly admitting this family team-up was his ultimate goal. The fantasy and reality became practically indistinguishable. Naturally, giving the media that kind of soundbite makes those raging favoritism debates almost impossible to shut down completely. By October 22nd, 2024, the legendary duo made history on the professional hardwood. This milestone felt truly monumental. Basketball purists witnessed an absolute first. While the veteran father fought back tears, his rookie son remained completely cool, showing off that signature chill vibe we all recognize. If you are enjoying this breakdown, drop a like. Experts constantly point out how the youngster seemingly absorbed his dad's elite basketball genius while skipping the massive ego trip. Fast forward to early 2026, and the duo secured another insane milestone. A direct assist from dad to his kid, nailing a massive shot from beyond the arc. A sequence the superstar called completely insane. Die-hard fans celebrated the epic highlight, whereas the harsh doubters just saw a cool play buried underneath a mountain of controversy regarding the kid's stunted growth and the franchise's overall legitimacy. Unsurprisingly, the fiery sports anchor wasn't screaming into the void alone. Major media personalities echoed those exact same cries of blatant family favoritism. Even massive online basketball forums exploded with toxic debates, ripping apart the rookie's playing time with a ruthless intensity far surpassing standard draft class hatred. Yet, despite the non-stop drama, the young guard handled the circus beautifully, shocking everyone tuning in. He completely tuned out the haters, locked down on defense, and heavily praised his own daily grind. His press conferences remain unbelievably sharp and professional. But honestly, folks, the narrative surrounding this basketball royalty goes so much deeper into tricky territory, shifting from a simple sports debate into a massive psychological breakdown of megastars, particularly highlighting African-American dads and society's weird obsession with judging extreme parental affection. Suddenly, intense psychological labels like over-attachment started sneaking into everyday barbershop talk regarding the legend's fatherhood skills, drawing heavy inspiration from complex familial studies pioneered by prominent experts. This concept of severe emotional entanglement basically describes a toxic household where the lines between dad and son vanish completely, utterly destroying the kid's ability to stand on his own 2 feet. The adult's personal desires practically hijack the young one's existence, completely ignoring the teenager's natural journey toward true independence. Are we seeing traces of this from the Los Angeles superstar? Absolutely. Micromanaging a career and forcing this historic familial partnership straight onto an active professional squad practically screams helicopter parenting. Combine that with the obsessive online broadcasting of his son's minor accomplishments across the internet, plus clashing with media giants, and you have major red flags. Make sure you hit subscribe. Still, declaring this a full-blown crisis requires seeing the flip side of the coin, a victim whose freedom is actively getting crushed. Honestly, pushing that specific narrative falls totally flat when you actually watch the young man operate. Entering 2025, the rookie secured his own bachelor pad. His superstar dad acknowledged the move with serious pride, mixed with a dash of empty nest syndrome, joking that his boy officially flew the coop and their daily chats dwindled. The icon chuckled through the pain, yet the reality is the youngster carved out a private sanctuary and a unique workflow far away from his father's massive shadow, proving their relationship actually encourages healthy maturity instead of suffocating control. The rookie's media presence is wildly impressive simply because of how he entirely avoids acting like a trapped prisoner crushed by an overbearing patriarch. The guy stays ice cold, expertly dodging toxic rumors, and purely discusses the game with genuine, authentic passion. Interestingly, deep dives into the lives of superstar children repeatedly prove success relies entirely on juggling strict discipline with loving encouragement. Having a rock-solid foundation breeds incredible mental toughness, particularly for rookies bouncing back from absolute tragedy. And man, he survived a massive one. That terrifying heart failure during a July 2023 scrimmage demanded major surgical intervention for a hidden defect, completely derailing his university trajectory. The basketball king's reaction to the nightmare was lightning fast and fiercely protective. He slammed the brakes on his legendary career, demanded extreme secrecy from the press, and made his boy's survival the absolute priority. Haters eventually claimed this intense shielding stunted the prospect's personal evolution. Loyalists fired back, shouting that is exactly how any decent dad must react. Looking at other sports dynasties truly puts this into perspective. For instance, the legendary dynamic between a famous golfer and his dad remains the ultimate case study in every single mental toughness masterclass. Their bond forged an absolute sporting god while simultaneously serving as the wildest proof of how relentless fatherly obsession breeds pure greatness wrapped in heavy trauma. Similarly, the mastermind behind two iconic tennis sisters faced constant backlash for labeled as a puppet master by doubters who witnessed him orchestrate his girls into the most legendary tennis journeys of our era. We have seen this playbook before, but results differ. Yet, King James holds an ace those others lack, Savannah. She is the rock whose crucial anchor role within their household gets massively ignored by mainstream media. She remains subtly present during press chats and private events, with longtime insiders painting her as the ultimate calming force against her husband's fierce drive. Do not underestimate how much that balance counts. Toxic enmeshment usually explodes when nobody steps in to cool things down, but their home clearly boasts that shield. Plus, a massive societal layer exists here that we absolutely need to address. African American dads in the spotlight constantly battle against a heavy, lingering stigma. The myth of the missing dad or the checked out parent gets completely shattered by this superstar's front row attendance at his kids' games, his raw emotional displays, and his loud pride in claiming fatherhood as his true calling. Every bit of this actively fights back against those nasty tropes. Before we dive deeper, hit that subscribe button. Now, seeing a dad this fiercely devoted and loud about his boys creates a massive glitch in the matrix for some folks. Society built a whole narrative around missing minority dads, yet struggles to handle an ultra-invested one, quickly trying to label that deep passion as something weird instead of pure love. The four-time champ openly called out his Airness's famously aloof dad approach as a route he actively trashed. He understands the dark side of that coin. Instead, he walked a totally fresh road, fully embracing the chaos and intense media glare it naturally brings. Los Angeles franchise boss Jeannie Buss openly backed this historic family duo, completely shutting down those loud nepotism rumors. The front office pulled the trigger on draft night. Management keeps handing the rookie real hardwood action, regardless of any behind closed doors drama. Their outward stance remains rock solid. This move was pure strategy, not just caving to a legend's demands. Also, we cannot forget about the I Promise Academy back in Akron. That is the massive learning hub he bankrolled for vulnerable youth in his city, completely bundled with safe housing for the relatives of those kids. He literally turned his own early life struggles into life-saving community lifelines. The exact same past scars that make him grip his eldest son so fiercely also built a safety net, catching thousands of other struggling youths, kids lacking homes, missing dads, and lacking that lucky hoops ticket that secured his own escape route to glory. While that massive charity work does not erase all dad critiques, it totally flips the script, showing his over-the-top care stems from heart, not some toxic mindset. So, what is the final ruling? Drop a like if you are hooked. Let us break down the brutal truth. Our headline question: if league pros actually expose creepy vibes from the all-time leading scorer toward his boy. The whole web has been obsessing over this exact mystery, and we owe you a straight-up, unfiltered breakdown. That wild rumor that sparked this massive wildfire, yeah, we are talking about that infamous locker room smooch clip blowing up across social media. Platforms with clickbait headlines meant to trigger massive fury is 100% artificial intelligence garbage. Completely fake news. Not a single reliable journalism platform backs it up. Zero legitimate video proof exists. No major network, from the worldwide leader in sports to top pop culture magazines, has ever once recorded or verified such a bizarre event. That insane narrative completely crumbles under pressure. However, the actual truth is way deeper than some phony trending post. The cold, hard reality. A famous loudmouth sports pundit aggressively ripped into the King's micromanagement of his kid's journey on live broadcasting, doing it loudly and without holding back. The superstar clapped back by marching right up to that analyst's front row seat at a marquee matchup in March 2025, fiercely demanding like an angry Papa Bear instead of an athlete that he shut his mouth. That showdown absolutely went down. Cameras caught the heat. The broadcaster himself admitted it, claiming their once tight friendship is now completely destroyed. Another undeniable fact: top-tier hoops experts have tossed out very fair concerns regarding whether the rookie's draft night was earned through pure skill or just his dad flexing immense power to live out a fantasy. And hey, that difference is a massive deal, not because anyone here is the villain, but because this association is a cutthroat arena where giving away a jersey alters absolute destinies for grinding athletes. What we know for sure is this icon is a fiercely dedicated, highly visible, and sometimes overwhelmingly obsessed dad. He is a guy whose dedication to his boy's daily grind shatters the mold of what typical wealthy superstars do. Plus, all this heavy involvement stems straight from an early life marked by a total void of the exact role model he tries to be today. It is a dad who survived a fatherless youth, drastically overcompensating. That raw pain drives the entire motor behind this saga. The real scandal is how toxic buzzwords, ripped straight from deepfake clickbait and slapped onto a guy who proudly squeezes his kid post-game and cries during big wins, reveals society's massive awkwardness around open, emotional dudes and minority fathers who actually show up instead of bailing out. Rather than exposing anything wrong, the legend actually did. Fast forward to early 2026, and this historic duo officially executed the ultimate first ever generational alley-oop in league history. The vet called the highlight insane. The rookie echoed that exact hype. Major sports networks blasted the footage everywhere, cementing it as one of the most authentically jaw-dropping bloodline milestones in athletic lore. Two generations sharing the paint, linked by a single bullet pass, the ultimate flesh and blood payoff for every drill they ran since the kid first touched leather. Now hitting 41, the old head recently began praising his boy's fresh solo swagger, sounding like pure dad pride is finally defeating his fierce urge to micromanage everything. He is soaking in the journey he dropped in a huge 2026 sit-down. Smash subscribe if you love that. It is a brief quote, but it packs a heavy punch. A clear admission that his heir is his own man blazing a uniquely personal trail. Thanks for tuning into the channel. Smash that like button and tap those videos popping up right now.